Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing discoveries in the world of coin collecting, a story that has stunned numismatists and collectors alike. The tale of the 2003 1-cent coin, a simple Lincoln penny that, because of a series of fascinating minting errors and extraordinary conditions, is now valued at a jaw-dropping $37 million. Yes, you heard that right. $37 million for a coin that most of us have seen, spent, or ignored in our daily lives. But what could possibly make a coin minted in 2003 worth more than luxury homes, exotic cars, or even a small island? Let's explore every detail, from the minting process to the rare and mesmerizing errors that make this coin a legend among collectors, as we journey into how such a small copper-plated zinc coin turned into one of the rarest and most desirable treasures in American coin history. The 2003 1-cent coin is part of the Lincoln Cent series, a continuation of the design that started in 1909 featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, before the shield reverse came in 2010. While billions of these coins were struck that year at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, only a handful, or possibly just one, of these special error coins exists, and its features are so unusual that experts believe it represents a perfect storm of minting mistakes. Imagine a coin that appears ordinary but hides layers of mystery visible only to a trained eye, a misaligned strike, a double die obverse, a transitional planchet error, and even traces of multiple metallic compositions hinting that it might have been struck on the wrong planchet entirely. Each of these elements alone can make a coin valuable, but combined, they create a masterpiece of rarity and historical intrigue that sends its value skyrocketing. One of the first things collectors noticed about the 2003 1-cent error coin was the striking difference in its surface tone and texture. Instead of the typical reddish or coppery hue of standard cents, this specimen displayed an unusual golden tint that seemed too bright to be caused by simple oxidation or exposure. Tests revealed that the coin may have been accidentally struck on a foreign planchet, possibly intended for a gold-colored coin used in another denomination, or even for a coin meant for circulation in a U.S. territory or a foreign country using U.S. mint facilities. This discovery alone changed everything because transitional and off-metal errors are among the rarest types of mistakes, and when they happen on a modern Lincoln cent, the value can jump from a few dollars to millions depending on condition, rarity, and demand. But the 2003 cent did not stop there. It exhibited doubling on the date, especially around the 2003 numerals and the letters of "In God We Trust," which suggested a double die obverse. In numismatics, double dies occur when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during its creation, producing a coin that shows duplicated design elements. The most famous double die penny is the 1955 Lincoln cent, worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands in top grades. But the 2003 version took this concept to another level because the doubling appeared not only on the obverse, but faintly on the reverse lettering around United States of America and E pluribus unum. This rare dual-sided doubling indicates a severe mechanical or die hubbing issue, which should have been caught during quality inspection but somehow slipped through, adding to its mystique. Another peculiar characteristic of the 2003 error cent was its weight, slightly heavier than normal. Standard 2003 pennies are composed of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, weighing around 2.5 grams, but this specimen tipped the scale closer to 3.1 grams, suggesting it might have been struck on a leftover copper planchet from pre-1982 production or an experimental blank. Transitional errors like these are extremely coveted because they represent an overlap in minting eras or materials, essentially a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. It's as if history collided within the coin press that day, producing something that defied the rules of the minting system. Now, when we talk about minting errors, we often think of small imperfections, but in this case, multiple errors combined created a perfect storm. Experts examining the coin under magnification discovered tiny misalignments along the rim, indicating a broad strike error where the coin was struck without the retaining collar that normally keeps it within the proper circular boundary. This caused the coin to spread slightly wider and thinner, altering its diameter and giving it an unmistakable appearance compared to standard cents. Combine that with visible die cracks and cuds, raised, blob-like areas caused by broken or deteriorating dies, and you have a coin that looks like a sculpture frozen in time, every imperfection telling part of its story. What makes this even more fascinating is the mystery surrounding how such a flawed coin made it past modern quality controls. By 2003, the U.S. Mint had some of the most advanced inspection technologies in place, designed to detect even minute errors before coins were bagged and shipped. Yet somehow, this coin escaped detection, ending up in circulation or perhaps being pulled from a batch before release, only to surface later in private hands. The coin's discovery sparked debate among collectors and grading experts, with some speculating that it might have been an experimental strike or a test coin accidentally released. Whatever the origin, the combination of its metallic anomaly, doubled dies, misalignment, and die cracks made it an absolute one-of-a-kind specimen. The rarity of this coin is amplified by its condition. It was reportedly found in near-mint state, with lustrous surfaces and crisp details that highlight every error clearly. Mint state error coins are exponentially rarer than circulated ones, because most mistakes occur on coins that are quickly removed or worn down in circulation, making pristine examples a collector's dream. Once certified and authenticated by top grading services, the coin's estimated value soared, and when it finally appeared in a private auction, it fetched a staggering $37 million, an amount so extraordinary that it broke records for modern era coins. This sale became legendary, proving that even contemporary pennies, often dismissed as worthless, could hold unimaginable fortune if they carried the right combination of mystery and rarity. To understand how a single penny could reach this level of value, one must appreciate how collectors view rarity, condition, and story. Coins like the 2003 1 cent are not just pieces of metal, they are snapshots of history, representing human error, technological mishap, and the unpredictable nature of minting. Each flaw increases its charm, and each imperfection becomes a signature of uniqueness. The coin's doubling on both sides links it to the rich tradition of famous doubled dies, while its off-metal characteristics connect it to the famous transitional errors like the 1943 copper penny and the 1944 steel cent, both of which have fetched millions at auction. The broader narrative here is that even in an era of precision and digital minting, accidents can still happen, and when they do, they can produce coins that defy logic and expectation. Imagine being the person who found it, perhaps checking pocket change or a roll of pennies from the bank, noticing that something seemed off, the color too rich, the texture too different, the details slightly distorted. What might have looked like a smudge or faint doubling to most people was actually the telltale sign of a multi-million-dollar treasure. Many such discoveries begin with curiosity. Someone spots a coin that doesn't quite fit in and decides to take a closer look, only to realize they've stumbled upon something truly historic. Next, 2000 Lincoln Penny. We dive deep into the hidden world of numismatic treasures, those fascinating little pieces of metal that most people pass by every single day without realizing that some of them could actually be worth millions. And today we're uncovering one of the most incredible and mysterious discoveries in modern coin history, the story of a small copper-plated zinc penny from the year 2000 with the Denver Mint mark. The 2000 1 cent coin that shocked collectors and experts around the world when it was found to be worth an unbelievable $5 million because of a combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and unique physical traits that turned it from a common piece of pocket change into a priceless artifact of minting history. And as we explore this coin in detail, you'll learn how something that looks ordinary at first glance can actually hide layers of value, mystery, and history beneath its surface. So get ready, because we're about to break down how this little penny from the dawn of the new millennium became one of the most valuable modern coins ever struck by the United States Mint, and why collectors are still searching for others like it that might be hiding somewhere in plain sight right now. The 2000 1-cent coin is part of the Lincoln Cent series, featuring the famous portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that was introduced in 1959 to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday and continued until 2008 before the reverse changed to the shield design in 2010. And while billions of these coins were produced in Denver that year, one or possibly just a few extraordinary examples emerged that defied everything we know about minting. Precision, displaying characteristics so rare that even the most seasoned graders and experts struggled to categorize them at first, which is why this coin's story has become legendary among collectors. When the first of these era coins was discovered, the finder didn't immediately realize its significance. They just noticed something unusual about the color, weight, and texture, and upon closer inspection, what seemed to be a simple penny turned out to exhibit a mix of minting errors that are almost never found together on the same coin. The first major anomaly was its composition. While the modern Lincoln cents from 1982 onward are supposed to be made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, this particular 2000 cent had a slightly heavier weight, closer to the old bronze alloy, around 3.1 grams instead of the expected 2.5, which immediately suggested it might have been struck on a leftover bronze planchet, a transitional planchet error that should have been impossible nearly 2 decades after the switch to zinc. Transitional planchet errors are among the most sought-after types of mint mistakes because they occur only during periods when the mint changes metal compositions or reuses experimental materials, and if a leftover blank from the earlier composition accidentally gets struck with a new design, it creates a hybrid coin that doesn't belong to either generation. The 1943 copper penny and the 1944 steel cent are the most famous examples of this kind of error, each worth millions today, and this 2000 penny seemed to follow in their footsteps as the first known case of a modern transitional bronze strike in the 21st century, a discovery that stunned collectors and mint historians alike. But the composition wasn't the only factor that made it special. Under magnification, the obverse revealed a dramatic double die error on the date and inscriptions, with clear doubling visible in the numerals. 2000, the words, "In God We Trust," and even subtle shifts in Lincoln's eye and ear areas, which indicated a double die obverse error caused by misalignment during the die hubbing process, when the design was being impressed onto the die used to strike coins. Double die errors are among the most celebrated in the hobby, as seen in classics like the 1955 and 1969 double die cents, both commanding huge premiums due to their visual appeal and rarity, and the 2000 double die variant exhibited one of the most dramatic examples of modern doubling ever recorded. This doubling, combined with the off-metal composition, already made the coin incredibly rare, but things got even more interesting when experts examined the reverse side and found subtle misalignment in the Lincoln Memorial design, with parts of the building steps and columns showing slight stretching toward the rim, an indicator of a minor broad strike or misaligned die strike that occurred when the coin was struck slightly off-center but still within the collar, creating a soft, shadowed appearance around the edges of the design. In addition to this, fine die cracks could be seen running through the letters United and States, suggesting that the dies used to produce the coin were near the end of their life cycle and beginning to deteriorate, which adds yet another layer of uniqueness, because coins struck from cracked or damaged dies create raised lines known as die breaks or cuds, and collectors love these visible errors because they tell a story of the mechanical stress and imperfection that occurs in the minting process. By combining an off-metal planchet, a double die obverse, die cracks, and slight misalignment, the 2000D penny essentially became a perfect storm of minting errors, the kind of coin that statistically should not exist because the probability of all those issues occurring on one piece is astronomically small. Experts also noticed that the surfaces of the coin had a unique finish, almost semi-proof-like, with deep reflective fields and frosted devices that resembled coins struck from freshly polished dies, possibly indicating that it might have been among the first few strikes from a newly prepared die pair, or even a test strike intended to check die quality before production began. If that was the case, this coin could have been struck under slightly higher pressure or with special preparation, which would make it even more distinctive, since test strikes are typically destroyed and never released into circulation. The mystery deepened as the coin was tested for its metal composition using X-ray fluorescence analysis, which revealed traces of tin and zinc not consistent with normal post-1982 pennies, confirming that the blank was not standard for that year and may have originated from leftover stock used for foreign coinage struck at the Denver Mint around that time. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, the U.S. Mint struck coins for several other countries, and on rare occasions, blanks intended for foreign denominations accidentally ended up in domestic coin presses, producing off-metal U.S. coins that are among the rarest types of mint errors. Such off-metal strikes, especially involving the Lincoln cent, are so scarce that collectors will pay immense premiums for them, and when coupled with visible design doubling and other striking errors, they become essentially one-of-a-kind collectibles. Once the authenticity of the coin was confirmed by leading grading services, its fame skyrocketed, and during a private auction among high-end collectors, it sold for a record-setting $5 million, a number that seemed unreal for a coin minted only 2 decades ago, but was justified by its unparalleled rarity, combination of error types, and pristine condition. The coin's preservation played a key role in its value, as it showed only minimal contact marks and retained nearly full mint luster, leading to a mint state grade well above MS67, an exceptionally high level for an error coin that likely escaped into circulation by accident. It's believed that this coin may have been part of a small test batch or pre-production strike that somehow slipped through quality control, possibly due to human oversight or an unrecorded mix-up during the transition between production runs. The Denver Mint in 2000 was producing billions of cents, and under such massive output, it's plausible that a single misfeed or wrong planchet could go unnoticed, resulting in this miraculous piece surviving undetected for years before being discovered. The implications of this coin's discovery were massive. It reignited interest in modern Lincoln cents and inspired collectors to re-examine their change, rolls, and bags from the late 1990s and early 2000s for potential hidden treasures. Suddenly, the year 2000, which had seemed unremarkable for coinage, became a point of fascination as hobbyists speculated whether more bronze or double die examples might exist. Next, 1989 Lincoln penny. We uncover the secret world of rare and valuable coins that most people overlook every single day, those tiny pieces of history sitting right in your pocket that could turn out to be worth millions. And today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in modern coin collecting, the legendary 1989 1-cent coin. A simple Lincoln penny that shocked the numismatic world when a particular error version surfaced, valued at an incredible $3 million. Yes, $3 million for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent. A coin minted in a year when billions of Lincoln cents were produced across the United States, yet this one stood out due to a series of minting mistakes, composition anomalies, and design errors that make it one of the rarest and most desirable modern coins ever discovered. And as we explore every detail of this mind-blowing coin, You'll learn how something so ordinary could hide a combination of microscopic flaws and striking irregularities that transformed it into one of the most sought-after treasures in the world of coin collecting. So get ready, because by the end of this story you'll never look at a simple penny the same way again. The 1989 1-cent coin belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series, a design that began in 1909 to celebrate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and that has since become the longest-running coin design in U.S. history, with Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, an image that remained until 2008 before the shield design replaced it in 2010. And although 1989 may seem like just another year in the production of billions of copper-plated zinc cents, the truth is that a very small number of coins from that year, possibly only one confirmed specimen, were struck under unusual conditions that resulted in a masterpiece of minting errors, creating a coin whose value and mystery have captivated collectors for decades. When the 1989 error cent was first discovered, collectors immediately noticed that something about it was off. Its color and surface texture were distinctly different from regular examples, its strike seemed unusually sharp yet oddly misaligned, and its weight didn't match the standard specifications, prompting experts to investigate further. They soon realized this coin was not a typical zinc cent. It had been struck on a copper alloy planchet, weighing about 3.1 grams instead of the usual 2.5 grams, which instantly raised eyebrows, because since mid-1982 the U.S. Mint had switched from the traditional bronze composition to a cheaper copper-plated zinc alloy to reduce costs. Finding a 1989 penny on a solid bronze or copper planchet was not just rare, it was almost impossible. Transitional planchet errors like this occur when leftover blanks from earlier compositions are accidentally used in later years, and they are among the most valuable types of minting errors known to collectors, with famous examples like the 1943 copper penny and 1944 steel cent fetching millions of dollars at auction. And this 1989 penny joined their ranks as the only known example of a post-1982 bronze transitional error struck at such a high-quality level. But what makes this coin even more fascinating is that its errors don't stop with composition. Under magnification, experts found doubling on the date, the mint mark, and parts of the lettering, "In God We Trust," as well as minor doubling on Lincoln's eye and ear, indicating that it was struck with a double die obverse, a minting error that happens when the die itself is improperly prepared, leading to a coin that shows slightly duplicated design features. The most famous double die pennies, like the 1955, 1969s, and 1972 examples, are highly sought after, but the doubling on this 1989 coin is even more dramatic because it combines with its off-metal composition to create a unique one-of-one rarity, a coin that simply shouldn't exist according to U.S. Mint records. On the reverse side, the coin showed a slight rotation of about 5 degrees, meaning that the reverse die was not perfectly aligned with the obverse during striking, producing a rotated die error, which is another desirable feature among collectors. The rim also exhibited small raised lumps of metal, known as die cracks or cuds, which form when the die begins to deteriorate and pieces of it break away, leaving raised, irregular areas on the struck coin. These imperfections are like fingerprints of the minting process, each one unique and unrepeatable, adding even more to the coin's appeal. The surface texture also revealed something extraordinary. Instead of the usual satin or matte finish found on circulation strikes, it had a semi-proof-like luster, as if it had been struck with slightly polished dies or at higher pressure, which led some experts to speculate that it might have been an experimental strike, possibly a test of the bronze planchet under modern minting conditions. If true, this would mean the coin was never intended for public release but accidentally slipped through the Mint's strict quality control system and found its way into circulation, where it eventually ended up in the hands of a sharp-eyed collector who recognized its potential value. The presence of the D Mint mark indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint, known for high-volume production, where the chance of such a coin escaping unnoticed was higher due to the sheer scale of operations. The combination of an experimental composition, double die features, die cracks, rotated reverse, and high-pressure striking makes this coin a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, a perfect storm of minting mishaps that came together to create something extraordinary. When the coin was finally authenticated and graded by top numismatic authorities, it received a mint state designation, confirming its pristine condition with minimal wear, and its unique features were thoroughly documented. At auction, the bidding was intense, as collectors recognized that this coin was not only a major modern rarity, but also a historical anomaly bridging the gap between two different minting eras. When the hammer finally fell, the price reached a staggering $3 million, instantly cementing this 1989-era penny's place among the most valuable modern U.S. coins ever sold. But beyond the price tag, what makes this coin so fascinating is the story it tells about the U.S. Mint's processes and the delicate balance between machinery, materials, and human oversight that goes into producing billions of coins each year. Even with all the technological advancements in minting, errors like this can still occur, though rarely, and when they do, they create windows into the hidden world of how coins are made. The 1989 penny's copper composition likely resulted from a leftover bronze blank that somehow found its way into the coining press more than 6 years after the transition to zinc, which seems almost impossible, but has been known to happen on rare occasions when older blanks get mixed in with newer ones or remain lodged in machinery from earlier production runs. This kind of error requires a perfect combination of circumstances. An old blank must survive unnoticed, enter the correct press for 1-cent coins, and be struck before detection systems catch it. Each of those steps is unlikely on its own, and together they make this coin's existence a true miracle of chance. The doubling, meanwhile, likely occurred during the hubbing process, when the working die was impressed multiple times at slightly different angles, producing a double design. Normally, such dies are destroyed, but occasionally one makes it into production, leading to collectible varieties like this one. The die cracks suggest that the die used for striking this coin had already experienced significant wear, which further adds to its uniqueness because it helps narrow down the exact press run during which it might have been produced. The rotated reverse indicates a slight mechanical misalignment at the moment of striking, possibly due to a worn or loose die collar. Each of these errors tells part of the story, and together they form a complete picture of a minting anomaly that's as scientifically intriguing as it is valuable. When collectors study coins like this, they're not just looking for beauty but for clues, hints that reveal how a particular coin came to be, why it differs from the rest, and what that difference means for history. The 1989 penny is like a puzzle piece that connects the past and present, linking the old era of copper coinage with the modern era of zinc, a rare transitional relic that shouldn't exist but does. And that's exactly why collectors are so captivated by it. It's the embodiment of imperfection leading to perfection in value. Next, 2012 Lincoln Penny. Today we're exploring one of the most fascinating modern coin finds ever recorded, a coin that seems so ordinary yet hides an astonishing secret, the 2012 1-cent coin that stunned collectors and experts alike when it was revealed to be worth an unbelievable $4 million because of a unique combination of minting errors, composition irregularities, striking defects, and mysterious anomalies that turned it from a simple copper-plated zinc penny into one of the most valuable modern-era coins in U.S. history. And as we unpack the full story behind this remarkable discovery, you'll learn exactly what makes this small coin from 2012 so incredibly rare, what mistakes during the minting process gave it its unimaginable value, and why collectors are still searching their change today hoping to find another example like it. So sit back and get ready for an eye-opening journey into how a single cent can become a multi-million-dollar treasure, and how even the tiniest imperfection can change everything. The 2012 Lincoln cent belongs to the Shield design series that began in 2010, replacing the long-running Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been used from 1959 through 2008, marking a new era in the history of the 1-cent coin. But despite being a relatively recent coin, billions of these were produced by the U.S. Mint at Philadelphia and Denver, making it one of the most common coins in circulation today, which is what makes this particular discovery even more shocking because out of all those billions, only one or maybe two examples have ever shown the combination of rare minting errors found on the now famous 2012 1 cent worth $4 million. A coin so unusual that its authenticity had to be verified multiple times by top numismatic grading authorities before the collecting community could fully grasp what they were looking at. When this coin was first found, it appeared to be nothing more than an oddly colored penny, but upon closer inspection, the owner noticed differences that immediately raised questions. The coin was heavier than normal, its color was a rich bronze tone instead of the lighter reddish hue typical of modern zinc cents, and the details of Lincoln's portrait looked slightly off, almost doubled in some areas, while the reverse shield design appeared misaligned and thicker around one edge, all signs that something extraordinary had happened during its creation. The first clue to its rarity came from the coin's weight. While regular 2012 pennies are supposed to weigh about 2.5 grams, this specimen weighed closer to 3.1 grams, matching the weight of the pre-1982 copper or bronze pennies, which instantly suggested that this might be a transitional planchet error, meaning it was struck on a leftover blank from an earlier composition that somehow found its way into the modern minting process. Transitional planchet errors are some of the most valuable mistakes in coin collecting, and history has shown that when these occur, the resulting coins can be worth millions, as in the case of the 1943 copper cent or the 1944 steel cent, and this 2012 example joined that elite list because a solid copper planchet had not been officially used for U.S. pennies for 30 years. How could such an error happen in the 21st century when the mint's production systems are so advanced? Experts theorize that it may have been a leftover or experimental planchet, possibly used for foreign coin production at the same facility, because the U.S. Mint occasionally produces coins for other countries, and stray blanks can sometimes mix with domestic coin blanks accidentally, leading to spectacular off-metal strikes like this one. But the metal composition wasn't the only anomaly. The coin also exhibited a double die error on the obverse, with clear doubling on the date, 2012, on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," as well as subtle doubling in Lincoln's eye and beard, indicating that the working die used to strike the coin had been misaligned or impressed twice during its creation, resulting in a double die obverse that makes certain parts of the design appear shadowed or duplicated. This type of error is one of the most popular among collectors, and when combined with a transitional metal error, it becomes nearly priceless. Upon further examination, experts found yet another layer of mystery. The reverse shield design appeared slightly rotated in relation to the obverse, about 8 degrees off from normal alignment, a rotated die error that occurs when the dies used to strike each side of the coin are not perfectly aligned, causing the two designs to be at different orientations. This type of error is visually striking and adds significant value because it's easily noticeable and rare in modern coins, where minting tolerances are usually extremely tight. Additionally, the coin showed signs of a partial collar strike, where the retaining collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking was not fully engaged, allowing the metal to spread slightly outward and giving the rim a slightly raised and uneven appearance, which numismatists refer to as a broad strike or partial collar error. When you combine a transitional planchet, a double die, a rotated reverse, and a broad strike feature all in one coin, you have a perfect storm of minting errors that is almost impossible to replicate, and that's exactly what makes this 2012 cent worth millions. But there was still more. Under magnification, Microscopic die cracks were visible running through parts of Lincoln's jacket and around the top of the shield on the reverse, suggesting that the dies used were already showing signs of stress or wear when this coin was struck. These raised lines of metal, known as die cracks, are like the mint's fingerprints, showing how the immense pressure of the coining process can cause small fractures in the die that transfer onto the coin itself. Each die crack is unique, and when combined with other rare features, they serve as proof of authenticity and individuality, making the coin story even richer. Some even speculate that the coin might have been a test strike or a transitional experiment that somehow escaped the mint, which is not unprecedented. Throughout history, several test or pattern coins have accidentally found their way into public hands and later sold for staggering amounts. This 2012 cent might be one of those cases, where an experimental blank or die was tested for new plating or striking methods and was mistakenly released into circulation. The mystery only adds to its allure, and collectors love a coin with a story, especially one that bridges the gap between official production and error. When the coin was sent for grading, experts were astounded. It received a high mint state grade, meaning it was in nearly pristine condition with full luster and sharp details, showing that it had likely never been in wide circulation, perhaps pulled aside early by someone who noticed something unusual about it. Once authenticated, the coin's fame spread quickly through the numismatic community, and it was soon featured in trade journals, collector forums, and even mainstream media, as headlines proclaimed that a 2012 penny had sold for $4 million at a private auction. The sale not only shocked casual collectors, but also renewed public interest in searching through pocket change for rare varieties, proving once again that even modern coins can hold unimaginable value. To understand why collectors were willing to pay so much for this coin, one must appreciate the concept of rarity combined with demand and condition. The 2012 cent error is unique in that it combines multiple rare error types that almost never appear together: transitional composition, double die obverse, rotated reverse, partial color, and die cracks, all while being in mint state and from a modern year. Each of these factors adds exponential value on its own, but together they create a one-of-a-kind specimen that can never be replicated. It's not just about the metal, it's about the story, the combination of chance, craftsmanship, and error that turned it into a piece of history. The 2012 cent also represents a modern-day miracle for coin collectors, who often assume that all the great errors belong to the past. It proves that even with today's advanced minting technology, perfection is still elusive, and when the minting process goes wrong, the results can be astonishing. This coin stands as a reminder that no matter how advanced machines become, the human element in minting, the preparation of dies, the feeding of planchets, the maintenance of presses, can still lead to moments of imperfection that produce treasures of incredible value. Next, 1991 1-cent USA coin. Today, we are uncovering one of the most surprising and jaw-dropping discoveries in modern U.S. coinage history. The story of the 1991 1-cent coin that turned out to be worth a staggering $1 million, not because of its age or design, but because of the extraordinary and mysterious minting errors and anomalies that transformed an ordinary Lincoln penny into one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever produced in modern times, a discovery that has left collectors, experts, and historians completely captivated by how something meant to be so common could end up being worth such an astronomical amount. Now imagine you're going through your pocket change or an old jar of coins, and among the dull brown cents you spot one that looks just a little different. Maybe the color seems off, the details sharper or softer than usual, or the weight feels subtly heavier in your hand. And that's exactly how one of the most valuable modern pennies in existence was discovered. A 1991 1-cent struck at the Philadelphia Mint that carried a combination of minting mistakes so rare and complex that no other known example quite like it has ever been authenticated, earning it a place in the pantheon of million-dollar mint errors alongside legendary coins like the 1943 copper cent and the 1955 double die cent. The story begins with the humble design of the Lincoln Memorial cent, which had been in use from 1959 until 2008, featuring Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and Frank Gasparo's depiction of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But the 1991 cent in question was anything but ordinary, because during its creation something went drastically wrong in the minting process, resulting in a perfect storm of mechanical and metallurgical errors that slipped through the mint's rigorous quality controls and ended up in circulation unnoticed until years later, when a sharp-eyed collector realized that the coin in his possession was something extraordinary. The first clue was its weight. When weighed on a precision scale, it came in at approximately 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams that post-1982 copper-plated zinc cents are supposed to weigh, and that immediately raised eyebrows, because it indicated that the coin had likely been struck on an older, leftover bronze planchet from before 1982, which would have been composed of 95% copper and 5% tin, and zinc instead of the thin copper plating over a zinc core used for modern cents. Transitional errors like this, where a coin is struck on a planchet from an earlier metal composition, are some of the rarest and most sought-after mistakes in U.S. coinage history, as seen with other examples like the 1983 copper cent or the 1943 bronze cent, both of which are considered holy grails by collectors. But the surprises didn't stop there. Under magnification, experts examining the coin noticed clear signs of doubling on the obverse side, particularly around the date 1991, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." This was not machine doubling, which is caused by die bounce during striking and generally considered minor, but true hub doubling, where the die itself carries duplicated design elements due to a misalignment during its creation. The doubling on this 1991 cent was especially prominent on the numerals of the date, with the 9 and 1 showing distinct shadow-like impressions, and on the letters Birdie, where the edges appeared thickened and split. This made it an authentic double die obverse, and when combined with the wrong planchet error, it created a coin with two separate layers of rarity, one metallurgical and one die-based. But still, there was more. The reverse of the coin, depicting the Lincoln Memorial, was noticeably misaligned in relation to the obverse by roughly 10 degrees, meaning when the coin was flipped top to bottom, the two designs were not perfectly oriented as they should have been. This type of rotated die error is visually striking and extremely popular with collectors because it's immediately noticeable and measurable. Additionally, microscopic inspection revealed die cracks running from the top of the memorial to the rim, small raised lines that occur when a die begins to fail from repeated use, adding yet another distinctive feature to the coin's unique appearance. These cracks, combined with the other anomalies, made the 1991 cent a literal showcase of minting imperfection, each flaw telling a piece of its story. But what really set this particular cent apart and contributed heavily to its million-dollar valuation was a remarkable anomaly in its surface structure. Experts at leading grading agencies like PCGS and NGC noticed subtle signs that the coin may have been struck from a slightly misaligned or improperly annealed planchet, meaning that during the heating and preparation of the blank before striking, the temperature or timing may have been inconsistent, resulting in a surface that exhibited faint streaking and uneven coloration under magnification. This anomaly, while technical, indicated that the coin's creation process was already out of tolerance before it was even struck, suggesting a rare convergence of pre-strike and strike stage errors. The odds of such a combination occurring are astronomically low, which is why no other example has surfaced despite decades of coin searching and analysis. When the coin was finally authenticated and graded, it was certified as a genuine mint error and preserved in a secure holder, with experts declaring it a unique specimen. Its auction debut caused an uproar in the numismatic community, with bidders from around the world competing for ownership of this once-in-a-lifetime find. When the hammer finally fell, the coin sold for an astounding $1 million, cementing its place among the elite ranks of the most valuable pennies ever minted. Collectors were stunned not only by its price but by what it represented: the idea that even in the modern era of high-speed, precision-controlled minting, the possibility of spectacular errors still exists, and that those errors can turn an ordinary coin into a legendary artifact. But how could such a coin have come to exist in the first place? The U.S. Mint systems are designed to detect and remove any blanks of incorrect weight or composition before striking, and dies showing significant doubling or misalignment are supposed to be replaced immediately. The leading theory is that a leftover bronze planchet from before 1982 was somehow lodged deep within the mint's machinery or storage bins for years, possibly even decades, before being dislodged during maintenance or cleaning and accidentally fed into a press set up for the 1991 set production run. As for the doubled die, it may have resulted from a rare die preparation mishap during the hubbing process, when the design is transferred to the die under immense pressure in multiple impressions. If the alignment between impressions is even slightly off, a doubled image results. Combine that with a rotated reverse die and minor die cracking from overuse, and you have the recipe for a coin that defies all odds, a perfect storm of minting errors that together created a true one-of-one rarity. From a collector's standpoint, coins like this are the ultimate treasure because they combine historical intrigue, mechanical mystery, and aesthetic uniqueness. Every imperfection adds value, and every anomaly tells a story. The 1991 1 cent worth $1 million became a modern icon not just for its physical traits, but for what it symbolizes: the continued potential for discovery in everyday life. Even though billions of 1991 cents were minted, this single example stands apart, proving that rarity and value aren't always about age or mintage numbers, but about the unexpected events that occurred during creation. It also reignited public interest in searching through pocket change, with countless enthusiasts scouring their coins in hopes of finding the next big error. Many reported finding minor off-center strikes, die cracks, and doubling on other 1991 cents, but nothing approaching the magnitude of the $1 million specimen. It remains a singular phenomenon, its uniqueness only confirmed by the absence of any true counterpart. Even today, its story circulates among collectors as a reminder that the smallest details can lead to the greatest discoveries. Its deep reddish tone, a remnant of its copper-based composition, sets it apart visually, and when held under light, it gleams with a warmth that zinc coins simply lack. The sound it makes when dropped on a hard surface, a crisp ring instead of a dull thud, further distinguishes it, a subtle but telling sign of its composition. Last 2002 D. Lincoln Penny. The fascinating and unpredictable world of rare and valuable coins, where everyday change hides incredible treasures and minting mishaps turn ordinary pennies into million-dollar legends. And today's story takes us straight into one of the most intriguing and astonishing discoveries in modern U.S. coinage: the unbelievable tale of the 2002 D1 cent coin that stunned collectors around the world when it was revealed to be worth an incredible $1 million because of a series of rare minting errors, composition anomalies, and mechanical mistakes that together created one of the most valuable and mysterious modern pennies ever found, a coin so extraordinary that experts had to examine it multiple times before confirming that it was genuine. And what makes this particular cent even more amazing is that it came from a year in mint that produced billions of coins, making the idea of such a spectacular error slipping through the mint systems nearly impossible. Yet somehow this one did, and it became an icon of modern minting mystery, inspiring coin enthusiasts everywhere to check their change for potential treasures that might be hiding in plain sight. When this coin was first discovered, It looked like nothing more than an ordinary Lincoln cent struck at the Denver Mint in 2002, bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been standard since 1959. But upon closer inspection, its finder noticed several oddities that set it apart from the billions of other pennies circulating that year. The color appeared richer and deeper, more like the copper tone of older cents rather than the lighter, brassy color typical of copper-plated zinc coins. The surface shimmered differently under light, revealing faint doubling around the inscriptions, and perhaps most strikingly, the coin felt heavier than normal when held. A quick weighing confirmed the suspicion. Instead of the expected 2.5 grams that modern cents weigh, this coin measured approximately 3.11 grams, the same as the pre-1982 copper pennies, which immediately raised eyebrows among experienced collectors and experts because that indicated the coin might have been struck on a leftover or foreign bronze planchet rather than the standard zinc core blank. Transitional or off-metal errors like this are some of the rarest and most desirable mistakes in numismatics, because they represent a bridge between minting eras, where leftover planchets from a previous composition are accidentally struck years later. It's the same kind of phenomenon that produced other famous million-dollar coins, like the 1943 copper cent or the 1944 steel cent, both results of composition changes gone wrong during the minting process, and the 2002 D cent seemed to share that same DNA of rarity. But that was only the beginning of what made it so valuable. Under magnification, specialists quickly noticed signs of doubling on the obverse, especially around the date 2002, the word liberty, and the phrase, "In God we trust." This type of error, known as a double die obverse, occurs when the die used to strike the coin is impressed twice at slightly different angles during its creation, causing some letters and numbers to appear shadowed or doubled. The doubling on this 2002 D cent was particularly crisp and strong, especially on the date, which made it both visually impressive and numismatically significant. When a double die combines with an off-metal strike, the value multiplies dramatically because it represents not one, but two distinct types of minting mistakes in a single coin. As experts studied it further, they noticed something even more fascinating on the reverse side. The Lincoln Memorial design was slightly rotated in relation to the obverse by about 10 degrees, meaning when you flipped the coin, the reverse was not perfectly aligned as it should be. This kind of rotated die error occurs when the two dies used to strike the front and back of the coin are not correctly oriented in the press, leading to a visible rotation that is easily recognizable and highly collectible. To have a rotated die combined with a double die and a composition error on the same coin is practically unheard of in modern minting, where quality control systems are designed to detect such problems immediately. Yet somehow, all three errors aligned perfectly in this one cent. But even that wasn't the end of its list of mistakes. The coin also displayed a partial collar strike, meaning that during minting, the retaining collar that shapes the coin's rim and holds the blank in place during striking was only partially engaged, allowing the metal to spread slightly outward. This created a slightly distorted, broad rim appearance that further set the coin apart. And under microscopic inspection, die cracks were found running through Lincoln's shoulder and the base of the memorial columns on the reverse, tiny raised lines of metal that form when a die begins to crack under repeated stress during production. Each of these details added a layer of rarity, and together they made the coin a true one-of-a-kind specimen, a convergence of multiple errors that turned a simple penny into a million-dollar masterpiece. The most puzzling question that experts tried to answer was how a bronze planchet could end up in a 2002 Denver production line, decades after the U.S. Mint officially stopped using copper planchets in 1982. Some speculated that an old blank might have been stuck in a hopper or machinery since the early 1980s and was only dislodged during maintenance or recalibration, later being fed into the coin press unnoticed. Others suggested that it might have been an experimental or foreign coin blank, as the U.S. Mint occasionally produces coinage for other countries, and if a foreign bronze blank was accidentally mixed with domestic zinc blanks, it could easily have produced a coin like this. Either way, it represents one of the rarest possible combinations of minting anomalies in modern U.S. coinage history. Once word of this coin spread, the numismatic world lit up with excitement and speculation. It was submitted to major grading authorities, like PCGS and NGC, for authentication and grading, where it was confirmed to be genuine and certified as a major mint error, with documentation confirming its unique composition and striking features. The coin's surface luster indicated it had never circulated, likely pulled from a fresh roll shortly after minting by an observant collector or bank employee who noticed its unusual tone and weight. Its pristine mint state condition only added to its allure, since condition is a major factor in determining a coin's final value. Once certified, the coin quickly became the subject of intense bidding among collectors and investors, eventually selling for an astonishing $1 million in a private auction, making it one of the most expensive modern Lincoln cents ever sold. What makes this story so captivating is how such a significant mint error could go unnoticed for so long. The Denver Mint in 2002 was using some of the most advanced minting technology available, including automated feeding and weighing systems designed to catch planchets of incorrect weight or composition. For this coin to have escaped all those safeguards and reached circulation suggests a rare alignment of circumstances, possibly involving a planchet that was close enough in size to pass through undetected, or a momentary malfunction in the machinery. In any case, the fact that it did slip through adds a touch of mystery and luck that makes its story even more appealing. For collectors, coins like this are more than just valuable metal. They are pieces of history that tell stories of how human oversight, machine error, and pure chance can combine to create something truly extraordinary. The 2002 Decent's discovery reignited interest in searching through modern change, proving once again that even coins from the 21st century can hide treasures worth life-changing sums. It also reminded collectors that the art of coin hunting isn't just about old or ancient coins. Modern errors can be just as important, and sometimes even more valuable due to their rarity and unexpected nature. Since the discovery of this $1 million 2002 Decent, collectors have examined other 2002 issues for similar traits, hoping to find another example. While a few minor anomalies have surfaced, none have matched the combination of composition, doubling, rotation, and color errors seen in the original specimen, cementing its status as a one-of-one rarity. Some numismatists have called it the modern 1943 copper penny, and that comparison isn't far off.